Part 3, The Carpenter's Quiet Revolution. Hello once more, my friends across every timeline. It's Elara Voss again, your time-traveling spiritual reporter from the year 3025. If you've been riding along with me, you already know the journey. I started hovering above Noah's Ark when the world drowned and a rainbow-stitched heaven back to earth. I trailed a childless couple through deserts and doubt until a miracle baby arrived and a father raised a knife on a mountain, only for God to provide the lamb instead. I watched tricksters become nations, slaves walk through parted seas, and underdog shepherds slay giants with pebbles. And kings fall and rise when prophets kept pointing forward. My reporter's armor was already in pieces by the time the dust of exile settled. I thought I was here to document a bloodline. Instead, every miracle, every detour, every impossible promise has been quietly dismantling the skeptical future girl who believed she could stay detached. Now the coordinates lock onto a dusty little village called Nazareth, somewhere around the year we called 0. The air smells like fresh cut pine, warm bread, and something I can't quite name. Holy, steady, and alive. I hover just outside a simple carpenter shop. Sawdust swirls and shafts of sunlight like tiny golden stars. Inside, a young man is planing a piece of wood with strong, calloused hands. His name is Jesus. Ordinary sandals on his feet, simple tunic, dark hair, and eyes that seem to carry every sunrise and every tear the world has ever cried. Yet they sparkle with a joy that feels older than time itself. I freeze. My cloaking field flickers because my heart is hammering so hard. I whisper into my glowing notepad. Subject: Jesus of Nazareth. Age: about 30. Occupation: carpenter. Mood: quietly revolutionary. Smell: wood shavings. And peace? Wait, how does peace have a smell? He looks up from his workbench and smiles, straight at the spot where I'm hovering. Invisible. As if he knows I've been watching since Noah. I nearly dropped my thermos. I follow him, discreetly at first. A wedding in Canaan. The wine runs out, and the party's about to flop. His mother nudges him. Jesus tells the servants to fill 6 stone jars with water. Huge jars meant for ritual cleansing. They obey. One sip later, and the master of the feast is raving about the best wine he's ever tasted. I float above the rooftop, invisible laughter bubbling up. He just turned 180 gallons of plain water into vintage that would bankrupt a future winemaker. And no one even saw the trick. Classic. Then the hillsides. Thousands of people, tired, hungry, dusty, had been listening to him teach for hours. Jesus takes 5 small loaves and 2 fish from a little boy's lunch. He blesses them, breaks them, and starts handing them out. The food multiplies in his hands like it's the most natural thing in the world. Baskets overflow. Leftovers fill 12 baskets, enough for a future food bank. I hover overhead, tears mixing with warm Galilean breeze, and my note simply read, "One lunch fed a multitude. One ordinary man is feeding souls I didn't even know were starving." I watch him touch the untouchable, a man covered in leprosy, skin ravaged, banished from society, falls at his feet. Jesus reaches out, skin to diseased skin, and says, "I am willing. Be clean." The sores vanish. The man weeps. I weep too. Invisible tears falling through my shimmering cloak. He doesn't just heal bodies, I scribble. He restores dignity. Storms on the Sea of Galilee. The boat is sinking. Disciples panicking. Jesus sleeps through the chaos like it's a lullaby. They wake him in terror. He stands up, speaks to the wind and waves like they're misbehaving children. "Peace, be still." The sea goes flat as glass. The disciples whisper, "Who is this man?" I whispered the same thing from my hovering perch. Voice cracking. Who indeed? He teaches in ways that flip the world upside down. Blessed are the poor in spirit, the meek, those who hunger for righteousness. He eats with tax collectors and sinners. He forgives a woman caught in adultery when her accusers drop their stones. He tells stories about lost sheep, lost coins, lost sons, always running toward the broken ones with open arms. Every parable feels aimed straight at my own skeptical heart. Then the week that breaks everything. Jerusalem, palm branches waving, crowds shouting Hosanna. Jesus rides in on a borrowed donkey, humble and deliberate. I hover above the procession, throat tight. A few days later, I watch him in the temple, flipping tables, driving out the money changers because my house will be a house of prayer. Passion burns in his eyes, pure, holy fire. The Last Supper, a simple upper room, bread broken. This is my body, and wine poured. This is my blood of the new covenant. I float in the corner unnoticed as he looks around at his closest friends with love so deep it hurts to witness. Judas slips out into the night. The others don't understand yet. Gethsemane, moonlight on olive trees. Jesus prays alone while the disciples sleep. Father, if it is possible, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours. Sweat like drops of blood. I want to rush forward and drop my cloak and beg him to stop, but I stay back, trembling. The arrest, the trials, the scourging whips, tearing flesh, the crown of thorns. The heavy cross dragged through dusty streets while crowds that once shouted Hosanna now screamed Crucify. I followed every step, invisible sobs shaking my frame. Up the hill called Golgotha, nails driven, body lifted, and darkness falls at midday. Father, forgive them, he gasps. It is finished. The earth shakes. The temple curtain tears from top to bottom. A Roman centurion whispers, surely this was the Son of God. I hover in the darkness, rain mixing with my tears, cloak flickering wildly. No witty notes left, just raw broken silence. My glowing pad reads only, the line ends here, and yet it feels like the beginning of everything. 3 days later, the tomb, stone rolled away, empty, grave cloths folded neatly like someone got up and left. Women running, breathless with news, disciples doubting, then sprinting. I float inside the empty tomb, light pouring in like sunrise on steroids. Then he's there, alive, scars glowing like badges of honor, laughing, breathing, and whole. Jesus walks out into the garden. Mary mistakes him for the gardener at first, then cries, Rabbi! He says her name, and the world lights up. And then I can't stay hidden anymore. I drop the cloak, step into plain sight for the first time in all these centuries of watching. My future clothes look ridiculous next to the first century rose, but I don't care. He turns and looks straight at me, eyes full of knowing and full of welcome. Elara, he says gently, like he's been waiting for this moment since Noah. Still taking notes? I laugh through fresh sobs, notepad trembling in my hands. No, Lord, I'm writing thank you letters now, pages and pages of them. He smiles the same smile I saw in the carpenter shop and reaches out a scarred hand. Come, walk with me. And I do. So here I stand before you in 3025, delivering this final part not as a detached reporter, but as a woman forever changed. I came back through time to follow a lineage. I watched a flood, a desert journey, giants fall, seas part, and the promises kept against every odd. I watched the quiet carpenter turn water into wine, storms to peace, and death itself to life. I came to observe. Instead, I was seen. I came to document. Instead, I was redeemed. The bloodline that started with a man who built a boat in the desert and ended at a cross, and then exploded into resurrection light that still reaches all the way to my year in 3025. If your own story feels too messy, too late, or too broken, or too ordinary, remember this reporter who thought she was just watching from a distance. The carpenter saw her anyways. He sees you too. The ridiculous really was the point. The detours were the destination. The quiet revolution is still rolling. I'm Elara Voss, cloak off for good, heart wide open, notebook now filled with gratitude instead of questions. And if you'll excuse me, I have a date with that first century carpenter. He promised me living water that never runs dry and zero jet lag from time travel. So thank you for traveling with me through the centuries. The story isn't over. It's just beginning again and again in every heart that says yes. God bless you and have a good day.